I'm not sharing my screen yet. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So yeah, just to go back to what Josiah was saying. Um, if it is that you in this scenario, because typically when they have like a income side, when they have a system and they want you to draw the more detailed system, the marks is normally 8 and above, or 10 and above. This example here, I believe that, and this was what sparked, because this is from quite a couple of years ago. Let me just check what year this is. 2013, right? And it was, CXE, actually, I can't remember if CXE ever clarified whether they wanted the context or the first level diagram, but the marks that were associated with it was for more of a context diagram, okay? Because 6 marks for a first level DFD seems kind of excessive. All right, hold on. Yeah, stop presenting. I just want to share the window. All right. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the question, right? A customer sends an order to the order processing system. The system checks if the items ordered are in the inventory. If the items are available, a shipping notice is sent to the warehouse, which dispatches the items to the customer and updates the number of items in the inventory. If the items are not available, the order is rejected and it's returned to the customer. Now, this is a pretty simple scenario. Okay. I would say if you see draw the level 0, you are aiming towards doing the first level diagram. But I will also say that it never hurts to come up with the context level diagram, because the context level diagram does just that. It sets the context for the system. So why not draw the context level diagram anyway, to put yourself in a frame of mind where you can understand what is going on with the system. You all following me? Right? And especially as you all are basically new to this, I would suggest that you draw the context level diagram. Hold. Right, sorry about that. Right, so we have the customer sends an order to the order processing system. Okay, so we're doing the context level diagram. For the context just allows us to understand how the system will operate, how the system will work. So this here is our order processing system, right? Our order processing system. Nice. Okay, so my text doesn't want to behave. Good. So we know that there is somebody interacting with the system. We're not studying about what goes on inside of the system. We're just looking at who is putting information into the system and who is getting information out of the system. So our definition here says that a customer sends an order to the order processing system. So we have some data coming in from an external entity. The customer is not part of the order processing system. The system checks if the item ordered are in the inventory. That goes on inside of the system. If the items are available, a shipping notice is sent to the warehouse, which dispatches the items to the customer and updates the number of items in the inventory. Now, we have a question. There are some systems where the warehouse is part of the system. There are some systems where the warehouse is not part of the system. So we can look at it from both ways. We can assume, I am making the assumption that the warehouse is owned by the system. Okay, which makes the warehouse part of the system. And if you all want, maybe we can do this with, later on with the warehouse not being part of the system, right? If the items are not available, the order is rejected and returned to the customer. So basically, we have some things happening if the order is accepted and it goes to the customer. We have something so happening if the order is rejected, and it can't be shipped to the customer. So if the items are available, we have the shipping notice sent to the warehouse, and the warehouse dispatches the items to the customer. Now, the warehouse also updates the number of items in the inventory. This is the reason why I think that the warehouse is part of the system. If the warehouse was external to the system, the warehouse could not be responsible for dispatching the system, dispatching the order, the item to the customer, right? Because the warehouse then would have had to send back a notice into the order processing system, and the system would have had to send an order to the customer. Because we have some rules. Two external entities cannot interact with each other, right? If it is two external entities that are interacting with each other, then what is the purpose? I think, hold on. Right, sorry about that. What was the last thing that you guys said?
You were saying something about
two excellent entities interacting with each other.
Yeah, yeah, what he said.
Okay, two persons spoke at the same time. Yeah. No, I have to get a better internet provider or something.
So, Hazard already clowning you about the internet. Start already.
I see. No, I have. Remember, I told you all I want to get that better Wi-Fi adapter. 1 and 2. I was also on the router that was further away from the room that I'm in. So I switched to the better router, and the internet should be a little more solid now. Right, boy. Yeah. Right. No, I'm no longer taking internet from the neighbor, Shivan. I'm done with that. I'm done. Since I mount up the router, it's just that I was on another router that further away, and I don't have to explain anything to all you, right? Oh, all right. And I let my neighbor go on for the weekend, so I can have unfettered access to his internet. So if my internet does start playing up, I have a backup system. All right, but I am on my own internet. All right. So if the internet, sorry, I don't have internet in my head. if the items are available, a shipping notice is sent to the warehouse, which dispatches the items to the customer. That has to happen through a process in the system, right? And updates the number of items in the inventory, the warehouse as well, right? The warehouse as well, it speaks to having information or access to information that is part of this current system, right? The neighbor ain't changing no password. He ain't that tech savvy, right? You know who's his IT guy? I'm his IT guy. If he had to change his password, it's me who he have to ask to change his password. Right. If the items are not available, the order is rejected and returned to the customer. So we have two things happening. We have the dispatch here, but remember we said that tangible things are not represented in this system, in this data flow diagram. Right? Tangible things are not represented in this data flow diagram. So it's really a notice that the item was dispatched. And if the items are not available, the order is rejected and returned to the customer, right? So the order, the customer will get an order rejection notice. So let's do it. So far, the only entity that I see that we have that interacting with the system is the customer. Okay? So we have the order processing system, and we have the customer, and the customer is represented like this. And we label customer. And now we have where we can show the data that is being sent from the customer into the system. And what the customer sends is an order, right? And what is coming from the system, right? And really looking at this, I would say, you know, that they were asking for the expanded DFD, the level 0, right? Because this is very simple. This is a little too little for 6 marks. You got to work a touch harder than this for 6 marks. Okay? Right. So either the system could send you the item dispatch notice, or the system could send you, right, the rejected order. And this is when we look at it from a system perspective, right? When we look at it from a system perspective, we really and truly now get an understanding of how, if we just kind of take a bird's eye view of the system and the external entities, you know, this is what the system would look like. So now let's take a look at this as with the DFD. Okay. So we have this here, edit, copy. So we paste this into here. And we want to take a look at it as a what you call it, level 0 DFD diagram, not the context level diagram. Okay, so we're looking at it from a first level perspective. The customer sends an order to the order processing system. So now we're not looking at the system as a whole. We already did this. We already did that here. Okay, we're looking to break it down into parts. So we have the customer. And we have the first order processing system process. the first process when we get the order, so the order here goes into our process, and what would be an appropriate name for this process? Joshua, the first diagram that I draw was the context level diagram. This is the context diagram.
Okay, so no problem.
Okay. So this is the first level DFD, right? And the first thing that we do is that the system checks if any of the items ordered are in inventory. So we want to do an order item check. So this is an order item check. The inventory has to be some sort of data store, right? So we have D1, right? And this is the item inventory, right? Database, if you want to call it that, right? We could just name it item inventory. We're not using any of these shapes anymore. And the order item check will send to see if the items are, right? Item availability request, and the item inventory will return the available items. If the items are available, a shipping notice is sent to the warehouse, which dispatches the items. So for the available items, we have another process, which could be shipping, right? What do we call it? Right, so the notice is sent, which dispatches the items to the customer and updates the number of items in the inventory. So this could be item shipping process. Item shipping process. And what we send here are the available orders, the available items from the order, right? So available order items. So once the items are available, we send them to the shipping process, and the warehouse, it tells us that the warehouse that dispatches the items to the customer will send them off. So we can say that this item shipping process will generate a shipped item notice, right? And if it is that the item is shipped, then we also have to send an update on the inventory. So we have an inventory numbers update. So we have a update of the amount of items in the inventory. If it is that the items were not available, which could be found out from here, then we will have what we call the rejected order, right? So we have the rejected order coming back from this process. So this is only two processes. This one was short. Okay, so we have the rejected order being sent back to the rejected order being sent back to the customer. And in that means that, you know, what couldn't be sent, or if the order couldn't be completed, we just let them know. And this is really and truly what they're asking for, right? So if it is that we look at this from the perspective of it being the system, Right? Let me actually draw the line here. If you look at what is in yellow and compare what is coming in and out in yellow against what is coming in and out from here, is it the same thing? Is that the same thing? We have the order going in, we have the item dispatch note coming out, and we have the rejected order coming out. We have the order going in, we have the rejected order coming out, and we have the item dispatch note coming out, right? Or the shipped item notice. You can name it the same thing. Actually, I would suggest that you name it the same thing, right? The shipped item notice, but I put item dispatch notice up here. And everything inside of yellow here is what was represented in the system. Any questions?
No, so everything clear so far.
Good. So I'm going to put one up here for us to try. We're gonna work it through, right? I'm gonna put one up here for us to try. We're gonna work it through and see. And maybe the one that I might send might not be from a past paper. Maybe it might be a little bit harder. Right? Not harder. Let's use the word challenging. Could be a little challenging. What do you think? Yes? No?
Yeah,
It's
sir.
like, yeah. All right, good. So that one, was that Ryan who said yes, sir?
Yeah.
All right, so Ryan speaks for the whole class and he says yes, sir. And he's willing to take on the task given here. Right? So I'm just going to copy and paste. All right, this one is a little longer to read. I'll give us about 20 minutes to work it through. I have no problem if it is that you want to collaborate with somebody and work with them while you're doing it. All right, I would suggest that you do the context level first so that you get an idea of what is to be done, and then you can do the what do you call it, the level 0 diagram, right, which is the first level DFD.
Wait, so
All
we doing
right,
the
so
level 0. We doing our context on a level 1, or we
no,
doing?
what the aim is for the first level diagram, but I would suggest, so that just for your practice and understanding, that you also do the context diagram. Right, so look at it as in what is going to go into the system of New Smiles, and what is going to come out of the system of New Smiles patient booking system. Okay, so I'll read it through. Patients book appointment. New Smiles is a doctor's office operating in the busy town of Happyville. Patients book appointments in advance to see Dr. Sam. Typically, a patient calls into the office to request an appointment. The receptionist asks for the person's name to check whether their patient record already exists in the patient database. If the record does not exist, a new patient record must be created in the database following information gathered from the patient. Okay, so we gather some information from the patient. On completion of the standard procedure, the receptionist books the appointment. That is, the patient submits the preferred date and time. The receptionist checks the appointment database for available dates and times and schedules a suitable appointment based on this. The scheduled appointment is returned to the patient. Finally, every day, the receptionist calls patients one day before their appointment to provide them with a reminder. A list of upcoming appointments is generated from the appointment database to facilitate this. Okay, it seems like a lot, but it's not. This is actually good, and I would always say that the more that they give you an explanation of what's going on is actually the better. This is a nice balanced question here, right? In terms of questions that CXC has given. So I'm going to give you all 20 minutes. So you're doing it from now till 2 o'clock, right? And then of course we'll take the break once I check back in with you, and then we will take a look at the results. Okay? I'm gonna pause the recording.